So before we begin with the webinar, I would like to quickly introduce myself. So as you may already know, my name is Rutuja Chalke and I've completed my MSc in Biotechnology from St. Xavier's College, Mumbai, post which I entered the world of scientific illustration, and currently I'm working as a science illustrator at Vadhwani Electronics Lab, IIT Bombay. First of all, I would like to thank Professor Siddharth Talur, who is the coordinator of this webinar, and his support has always been invaluable in conducting all these webinars and workshops. So, as we know, artificial intelligence has been changing the way we communicate information in various fields, especially in the past few years. Scientific communication has been no exception to that. So today we'll discuss about the use of AI tools and how it could possibly influence the future of scientific communication, and also the opportunities and challenges that comes with the use of AI tools in the field of scientific communication. So when it comes to scientific illustration, AI tools could be used to generate clinical images, to generate conceptual illustrations like you see here, to modify or regenerate certain portions of existing images, or to generate icons that could be used in your infographics or scientific posters. So there are certain techniques that are followed when it comes to the use of AI tools in scientific illustration. The text to image generation technique, image variation, sketch to image, object removal, in painting, and out painting. So text to image generation, I think, is the most commonly used one, and I'm sure most of you must have tried some AI tools where you just given a prompt to the AI model and it generates an image according to the text prompt. Image variation technique is when certain part of the image could be regenerated or modified, or certain variations of an existing image could be created through the AI tool. The sketch to image technique is when you can feed the AI tool with the sketch that you have created and it would generate an image based on the sketch. Object removal technique, wherein certain sections from the image could be removed using an AI tool. And the two other techniques are in painting and out painting. So in painting is the techniques when a certain portion inside the image can be selected and modified as per your requirement. And in out painting, the area outside your image could be selected and we could add in certain extra elements in the existing image. So let's have a look at some examples to understand these techniques better. So in this example that you see, here they have used a combination of in painting and out painting. So as you see, a certain area inside the image is selected and a text prompt is given to modify the angle at which the device is held in the hand and the connection of the wire to the device. So through this prompt, as we see, the desired modification was achieved. Further, by object removal technique, the hand and the device is completely removed from the image and the desired changes are achieved. In this case, stable diffusion, which is a very commonly used AI tool, was used to create these modifications of an image. So I'll give you a minute to have a look at these images, cell images, and let me know what you observe through this. You can type in the chat box or you can just turn on your mic and we can discuss what you understand through this. So would anyone like to give their inputs? Okay, so let me take a guess and try to explain what's happening here. The images that you see that are marked in green are the actual images that were captured by the scientist, and the ones that are marked with red are the images which are actually the variations of the existing image. So what the scientists did is they captured the samples in a particular angle and they fed this real images into the AI model, and a prompt was given to create certain variations of the existing image like you see here in this example. So though these examples appear to be very similar to the real images, when you look at the minute scientific details, it would be considered to be very inappropriate to report these images as your scientific data. So This is like a classic example of the misuse of AI tools when it comes to reporting your scientific information. Also in the images that you see here at the bottom, the object removal technique has been applied to remove certain portion of cells from the image, and certain cells could be also added, which is the outpainting technique, to create a variation of this existing image. So these are some of the very commonly used tools which could help you in generating your desired illustrations. Especially for scientific illustrations, SciDraw and ScienceBuddy are the ones which could be used. However, they all come with certain loopholes in it, which we'll discuss a little later in the session. So let's go ahead and try to create a scientific illustration using Adobe Firefly, which is a freely available AI tool. So I'll give you a prompt to generate the structure of human respiratory system with appropriate text labels. So let's see how the AI tool can understand the scientific prompt here and what images it will generate for you. So I click on generate now. Okay, so this images appear to be very visually stunning, but would anyone like to say what they understand from these images, or do you think these are scientifically accurate, or what's lacking in these images? You can directly turn on your mics or type in the chat section.
Rutuja, some of the text is a little bit hard to see in these
Yes.
images.
Hmm.
So I don't know if that's a limitation of the image or just in the zoom setting that we are at. It's
Yeah,
hard
so
to
even
see.
if we try to zoom in, this is how the text appears.
So does not, I mean, some of the spellings also look incorrect and some are just garbled.
Exactly. So would anyone like to say anything with respect to the structure of lungs that they have shown here, or the overall branching of veins and arteries?
Hi, Rutuja.
Hello.
So I feel that even the structure of lung is also not correct. There is no negative space which is there in actually in lung. It's completely filled, and the lobes of lungs are also not defined well.
Yes, exactly. And as you also see, the branching of veins and arteries is very incorrectly placed here. And there are some additional elements that they have placed in the respiratory system, which does not exist at all. So though the tool quickly gave me some set of images for the prompt that I gave in, the images that are generated may appear to be visually stunning, but when it comes to the most important factor in scientific illustration, which is scientific accuracy, is lacking here a lot. So that could be considered to be a loophole when it comes to generating scientific illustrations using artificial intelligence tools. So the most important thing that we note here is the abnormal text, because the text labels are not readable at all, though the prompt that I've given was to create appropriate text labels. Abnormal branching of linear structures like veins and arteries. And in a few cases, the tone of your prompt may get misread, and it could generate some futuristic images like you see here. The extra branches and the futuristic appearance of the image itself shows the inaccuracy in the illustration. Here's another example of the blood flow in veins, which is created using AI tools and the ones created by humans. So have a look at it and let me know what you think is going on and which one do you think appears to be scientifically accurate.
In the AI one, it just looks like some sort of catastrophe. I don't know if that happens in reality.
Yes, exactly. So the AI tool is unable to process the prompt of just showing the blood flow and blood clotting in vessels, which is clearly shown when it comes to the human-generated animations. So here's another example of generating a periodic table using an AI tool. So as you clearly see, none of the elements are even spelled correctly or placed correctly in the which are usually placed in the periodic table. So this is another classic example of scientific inaccuracy when it comes to the use of AI in scientific illustration. Which reminds me of a recent review paper that I came across, in which AI generated images were used and it got published as well. But eventually, the paper got retracted because the inaccuracies were noted. So, this was the paper which was published last year and it eventually got retracted. These are the AI generated images that were actually used in this paper. So as you clearly see the inaccuracies here, it appears to be even the spermatogonal stem cells from rat testis and the JAK-STAT signaling pathway. The first and most importantly, the text labels are very incorrect and it appears to be very futuristic. So it's very unfortunate to know that despite of having such scientific inaccuracies in the images, the paper did pass through a review and it was these inaccuracies were overlooked by the authors and even the reviewers. This was another illustration that was used in this paper. So this shows how the use of AI negligence and its use in the in reporting scientific information can create blunders in scientific communication. So the major loopholes that we observe till now are confidentiality concerns because AI could a few times it could leak existing information. It could reproduce images of individuals or even trademark images. So if in case I'm generating an image of a patient by giving a reference of a certain patient image, it could exactly reproduce the patient image, which obviously puts the patient's identity at concern. And amplification of existing biases. For example, if I give a prompt to generate an image of a surgeon performing a certain surgery, 95% of the time the uh, AI model will be trained to generate male surgeons performing the surgery. So this shows the gender bias because it exists so much on the internet overall, and the AI will eventually grab all that information to generate the image. That would lead to amplification of such biases like gender bias or even racism. So for the examples that we saw till now, it's AI may not be considered to be all bad. It could be still used for a lot of things when it comes to communicating scientific information. And these are some of the applications for AI tools. It could be used for generating templates for infographics or scientific posters, and even for your scientific presentations. So there are certain tools where you can just give in a prompt to explain them the theme of your presentation, and it would generate the entire template for you, and you can just go ahead and edit the slides and add in your information. So that would save a lot of time for you. It could also be used for generating icons, which can again be used in your infographics or presentations. And though the images that we saw till now were scientifically accurate, we could possibly use them as a reference for creating the accurate illustration. Um, we may not consider the exact labels or the placement of shapes as we saw earlier, But the least we could do is use the color theme. We can pick up the style of illustration that was used. So it could be used as a reference, but it cannot be directly used when it comes to communicating accurate scientific information. Okay, so these are some of the tools which are freely available online, which can be used for generating templates for your infographics, posters, or even your presentations. However, AI fails at a few things that we saw earlier when it comes to generating anatomical structures, generating medical images like MRI scans, some uncommon objects which are not known to the AI model, and certain lines and moving. So when it comes to linear structures, basically. So now we have seen all the tools that could be used and the loopholes in these tools when it comes to creating scientific illustrations. Another most important thing to know is it ethical to use this AI generated images for communicating scientific information? So these are the certain guidelines led by the European Commission. They suggest the use of AI and only when it is required, and it's very important to have transparency when it comes to the use of artificial intelligence in scientific communication. So even if you're using AI as per the guidelines that are given for each journal, even if it is being used, it is very important to note that certain portions of the illustration have been generated with AI tools, and again, most importantly, the images that are being reported should be scientifically accurate. So certain misconducts, as we saw earlier, when it comes to the use of AI in scientific illustration, is inappropriate copying of images and fabrication of images, which would be again considered very inappropriate when it comes to reporting scientific information. So this could act as a very huge threat to academic publications. So seeing is believing may not no longer be considered to be true in such cases. So now that we have seen all the problems that exist with the use of AI and where we can use it, let's think about the potential solution that can help us in the proper use of AI in scientific illustration. So there are certain AI tools that are being developed currently which could detect the fraud in academic publication. So these AI tool itself will detect the AI generated images in publications, and certain systemic flaws that can help us to distinguish AI generated images from the authentic images. So through this AI tools itself, it can help us to generate the AI blunders in research communication. However, this work is still in progress and there are several tools that are still being developed to overcome this problem. So now I would like to take everyone's opinion on, do you think will AI replace humans when it comes to the field of scientific illustration? You can turn on your mics and we can have an open discussion now.
No, madam.
Hello.
No, madam. It is, to some extent, it is not possible.
Okay, so where do you think we can still use it, or to what extent can it replace humans in this field?
As you pointed out in the previous slides, there are certain things like anatomical and MRI where it is very difficult to replace it.
Yes. So as you mentioned it correctly, unless and until all these AI tools are trained to generate scientifically accurate information, which appears to be a very distant dream right now, because currently it is producing very inaccurate images. But unless and until that happens, it's very human intervention is very important for even for modifying these AI generated images. So another solution to these images could be using the AI generated image, and then it could be modified with some traditional methods like using Photoshop to remove certain unwanted sections or certain hyper-realistic sections from those image, and then we could use it for research communication so that it appears to be scientifically correct, and it has the aesthetically pleasing and the visually stunning elements in it as well.
Hello.
Yes.
Hi, Rutuja. Isha here.
Hi, Isha.
Hi. One fair use of AI can be using the templates or using the layouts, the color scheme that are inspired from that, and make your own infographics or illustration. And the other fair use could be using generative AI. So for example, when you want a pipette where you want a structure and you don't have time or you don't have a license from other crowdsourcing, so you just take that shape where there is no matter of accuracy when you are drawing a pipette. So it's just fine when you are just showing the layout of how the flow charts. So that time it can be used in generative AI. And other inspiration could be, as you have said, you can you can delete the inaccuracies and mask that data or paint over that and use your accurate scientific illustration, and that could be gone to cover page, because whatever AI is creating that looks stunning is a material for a cover page. So journal cover can be made, magazine cover can be made. Certainly there we can use AI at this time point.
Yes, exactly. So very beautifully explained, Isha. So as she correctly said, we can use AI when we actually require to have certain hyper-realistic elements like scientific journal covers, and modifying certain portions of the image and then using it to make sure that it is scientifically accurate. So do we have any other opinion about this? Or any questions with the use of AI in your research publication?
Hi, Rutuja. I have one question here. So when we are saying that we can edit the AI images, as per my understanding, all the softwares that are available so far gives in JPEG or PNG format only the
Yes.
outcome. So that is not like editable as such, no?
Yeah.
Or
So
are there any softwares which give it in SVG in other formats?
yeah, so there are softwares like Photoshop and GIMP wherein you can feed this PNG and JPEG formats and the image modifications could be achieved.
But not possible to recreate as such, no? Like,
No,
yeah.
yeah. So
Like
for
if you want to
recreating
recreate a part of it, you can't use them. You can just mask them and use, like, edit it a bit.
yeah, actually Photoshop has now certain AI features where you can select a portion of an image and recreate it or modify it as per your requirement. So that's
Oh, that's
again an
great.
AI incorporation in these traditional tools.
Okay. Another thought was that this can be used as a companion for ideation process. Instead of like using it for making something, we can just use it as something that will help us in ideating in the
Yes,
beginning step.
yes, exactly. Yes, so as a reference or just to create mind maps when you're starting with any ideas, this could be a better tool to use.
Hi, Rutuja. I just want to extend her point that an ideation, she said,
Yeah.
that clicks me that whenever you want to create a storyboard for a scientific motion graphics, or maybe you're pitching your idea to scientific filmmaking, that
Hmm.
time you want to make storyboard, and then your ideas, which are text to image based output you have, and then you can place it and just mention it there that this is AI generated, and you might not like right now focus on the details, but the look and feel should be like this. So for look and feel, to give your concept to the like visuals, and you're telling that this story will go ahead like this. So if you have a 5 or 6, 7 sliders showing my story is going like this, and that time you are pitching your idea and somebody is trying to working on, or you are yourself working on it, and that can be put for people who are in arts, video making, filmmaking, and the content writers can certainly get help from this beautiful software at that time.
Yes, exactly. Wonderfully explained. So you have clearly stated where we can actually use these tools and where we cannot use it. So when it comes to creative fields like this, yeah, we definitely can use to ideate it and as templates, as you mentioned. Yeah, do we have any other views or opinions about the use of AI in illustrations?
Hello, am I
Hi,
audible?
Rutuja.
Hello.
What would be the sequence as such? Like you go for the your own image first and then modify it with AI, or you start with an AI image and then you go on your own tools to modify it.
So that will depend on where you are using the image. So if you are using the image for a research publication, it's very important to go through the journal guidelines because journals now clearly mention about the use of AI, whether it's permissible or to what limit it is allowed. So certain journals allow the modified AI images to be used. So we have to mention that this was an AI generated image and then further modified using certain tools, or if you're using a directly generated AI generated image directly and then reporting it, even in that case, it needs to be mentioned. So basically, transparency needs to be maintained in whichever path you follow. You can generate it first and then modify, or have your own image and then modify it with AI. Whichever path you're following, it's very important to maintain transparency. And again, it depends on where you're using the image. So no matter where you're using, it's mandatory to report that this was modified or generated using these AI tools.
Okay, thanks.
Yes, hi, Rutuja. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, so right now we know that whatever the images that AI generates, the AI was trained on images that previously exist. Now my question is, if the images already exist and you are still using it as a reference, isn't it better to directly search on Google the images and then take that as a reference to draw? Because they are mostly correct and the AI will mostly produce wrong images. So, in your practice, like, is using AI a waste of time, or the previous methods like Googling the image or searching for images in textbooks better?
Yeah. So I would still suggest you to use actual scientific illustrations that are available online, like you mentioned. But as Isha said correctly, that uh, we may not use it as a reference for scientific accuracy, but like we can pick up the color palettes, we can pick up the design style that they have followed, and then create our own illustration. But as you said correctly, it's obviously time saving to have your actual scientific illustrations as a reference. And these illustrations, this AI generated ones, could be used just as a reference for picking colors, or if you need certain modifications in your images. In that case, AI could be used.
Okay. And let's say we already have some images of our own, but we have done it in our own style, and we want AI to generate images in our style. So, are there some tools that we can run locally or online that can study our own style and then produce images in the same style?
Yes, so actually the image that we generated right now with Firefly has some features where you can change the style of the illustration that is being generated here. So as you see, they have options and different themes and effects that we can apply. So I can just select a particular theme and I can apply it here and regenerate the illustration.
Okay, but these are already pre-built themes. What about the themes that we generate? Are there
Yeah, it's
tools?
even, yeah, we can also upload your own image here and then select the theme that you want to be modified to modify your existing illustration. So it has the option for that too. So there are several other tools where you can try out these features. Firefly is just a free example.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Uh, Hi Rutuja, just
And
stay on this screen that you are sharing right now. I wanted
okay.
to point out the Adobe Firefly. Yeah, I wanted to point out one more use. You can
Okay.
see the top right where the lung is shown like flowery or cloudy things. Yeah, this one.
Yeah.
So here it's not like looking at this, I don't feel that nobody is educating me using this. They are just inspiring me. Or maybe those branches could be shown as a flowers or on the in the lungs, and maybe that could be telling a different story, maybe a sci-fi story on a book or a social media post where that is attracting my mind. Or it could be a painting in a art gallery or your university, or even your desk decoration. So that time you can certainly, you are from that field, you are showcasing what you are. For example, illustrator sitting in an office, so showcasing images like this is certainly nice and good thing, and giving their personality impression in their office room. Or kind of social media post where you are giving awareness about environment and air pollution. So that time you can certainly use sci where the prompt will differentiate, like they are not to educate, these will not be labeled, but this could be general muralistic, or you can say lungs and you can say another art style, or maybe oil painting of art that is giving some flowers or beads or pearls, and that could be your prompt. And then the generation of image will be a SciArt image where education purpose is little bit dissolved and aesthetic purpose or showcasing purpose is there. So at that time of point, you can certainly use images and inspiration from here. Maybe you could use this image and generate your 3D model by yourself by using clay modeling, or paint it using this as a reference. So their SciArt, where the differentiate that not in education will not be there, communication will not be there, just for inspiration you can use it. It could be used for social media post as well, or you're writing a story, there it can feel your attractive poster of that story on the journal or magazine, etc. So this is another fair use of AI you can consider.
Yes, very beautifully explained actually. So
Thank you,
it
Nikita.
totally depends on where you're using it. So as you mentioned, for creative purposes, we can go ahead and modify the structure as we want. As you said, we can have pearls and we can have all other features added to this and make it more aesthetically pleasing. So yeah, so it depends on where you want to use it and how you want to use it, and you can modify the image as you want. So this
I
could be
have one point
considered.
as well.
Yes.
Yeah, no, so I mean, related to that point you made earlier about using it to make icons or something like that. I
Yeah.
think the details of the image are where the errors happen, at least
Yeah.
in this example, right? So
Hmm.
maybe it is okay to perhaps consider using it to draw some type of big picture type of view. So when you said respiratory system, maybe instead of showing all these details, I
Hmm.
don't know if prompts can be given in a manner where it just draws some kind of outline drawing, if you will, and
Hmm.
then you can manually go maybe draw the details in there. That's something maybe to consider.
Yeah, we can try giving such a prompt as well. But then again, depends on how AI understands the prompt and what it generates. Actually, we can try it right away to create an outline for the structure. Yes, I think this again generates something little better than the futuristic ones. But again, if you look at
Mm.
scientific accuracy, it still lacks a lot of things.
Right. Okay, so
That
much
that,
for that.
that defines. So that is there, who is using it. If somebody from computer is using it, they're not aware of the scientific accuracy, they maybe can pick up and use. But if you are aware that this is wrong, then you will not go ahead with that. So who will be using it is another, like who are the audience. So if I'm a
Yes, exactly.
definitely I'm not a person to go with this. But if I'm a doctor, I can think, okay, this is near accurate and this will solve my purpose, or I'm using it. So you have to think, and do you know about this very accurately? Then like don't go for that. So that kind of
Yes,
approach you can have.
yes, exactly. And depending on the profession that you follow, that will ultimately decide the prompt that you are giving to the tool, and then the prompt will actually decide what image is being generated. So as you said, depending on who is using the tool will decide a lot of things.
Yeah. Hi, Rutuja.
Hi.
Yeah, I have opinion on the point that whether AI will replace human in SciArt, but I personally think that uh, when we are using any AI tool, we have to like the AI tool has to be dependent on the data which is given by the like current artist, or like the data which is available currently. So I think in future it may replace humans, but personally I think that even if in future it replaces human, we need to think the ethical part of it. Like even
Exactly.
the scientific accuracy is not good. So I think we should move to the part where we I can give an example of a series which I was watching last week, that like it's from Apple TV,
Okay.
they have given for like a realistic design for the T-Rex. So they have we had the previous illustrations of the T-Rex which were incorrect, and later
Mm.
it were corrected by the humans, not the like it went
Oh,
they were corrected by the artists.
okay.
They worked with the scientists and they corrected it. I think AI can't come up with the idea of correcting itself, so it has to be like dependent on humans to correct itself. So I think in future it will replace humans, but humans need to feed the data to the AI. I personally think that. Yeah.
Yes. Thanks. That was really an interesting example that you mentioned. So it's on us, on the prompt that we give, AI will understand and then generate the image. Okay, do we have any other opinions on this? I'm glad to share that we had a total of 111 registrations for this webinar today in such a short duration. And we have professionals from different fields. We have industry people, we have students, and even teaching professionals joining us today. So it's very interesting to see everyone's opinion on this field.
There are a couple of raised hands. Maybe you want to just go ahead and ask your questions or share your thoughts.
Yeah, you can just turn on your mics and start speaking.
Hi Rutuja, Sari here.
Hello.
So I wanted to ask your opinion about the ethical part. For example, if you are using generative AI, so it gets information or gets inspired from already existing art, which is made by
Mm,
illustrators, and it makes it, and it doesn't
mm,
give credit to those. On the
mm.
same hand, another aspect is AI uses a lot of sources. So it has a very big environmental impact. So do you
Yes,
think the trade-off of just to make image quickly, should we really
mm,
use it? Because scientific community understands the environmental impact better than common people. So
exactly.
just because we want to make it and in very like little time, or we don't want to develop the skill ourselves to make it,
Mm,
should we just
mm,
go for AI? Because this can be done better by the human illustrators, and
exactly.
to make the AI generate this kind of lung image better, they will have to give a lot of prompts to make it better. And the
Yes,
human illustrators can do it themselves right now. So, is there really a thing that AI can do which human illustrators present today cannot? So, is it a really necessary thing to use in science communication, keeping the time duration thing apart from it? What do you think?
yeah. Yeah, so considering scientific illustrations, I would suggest currently it is really not required to use these AI tools for generating our scientific illustrations because, as you mentioned correctly, human illustrators can obviously develop a better version of the illustration, which would be scientifically accurate. And as you said, it will be using a lot of resources. and so much time to give different types of prompts to reach the level till it actually gives me the illustration that I want. So I personally don't use AI tools for creating my own illustrations. Um, which is why I went ahead and showed you this example, and how currently it is not very accurate to use these AI tools for scientific illustrations. But in the future, we still don't know how much it'll improve and what modifications we'll see in these AI tools. So that still we'll have to see what happens in the future. Okay, do we have any other questions or any other opinions on this?
Uh, Hello, Rutuja.
Hi.
I have a question that is Blender and Minecraft software like these fall into AI art creation because there are already made presets and you can use that where you have a not chance of not going wrong. So
Yeah.
can we consider that as a AI tool?
Yeah, I think even Photoshop has this AI feature where you can modify certain parts of images.
Yeah.
So I think that would depend on the journal guidelines, how they want us to follow to use AI for our images or illustrations. So in case they apply it for these tools, we'll have to mention that it was modified using AI. Or if for these tools the rules don't apply, then we can directly create in Blender, like you said, and use the AI presets, because we'll be modifying the illustration that we create from scratch and then using certain features, AI features from these tools. So it'll again depend on what guidelines are given by the journal that you're submitting your illustration to, and accordingly you'll have to give credits to the AI features or the tools that you use.
Okay. Another question of mine is like, suppose you are given a chance and you made a beautiful cover page using your own illustration and the image that is provided by AI output. You have used that, and now it is a part of a journal cover page. Suppose they accept it, or a magazine page. Now,
Hmm.
how about the copyrights of that cover page?
Yes, that will again depend on which AI tool you're using. So if you're
That's
using
again
Adobe
debatable
Firefly,
question.
yes. So like if you're using Adobe Firefly here, even if I try to download this image, the downloaded image would have a line here at the bottom, created using Firefly. So I
Mhm.
cannot use this image without giving due credits to the tool. So that will
Okay.
depend on the tool that you're using. And whichever the tool is, I think whenever AI gets involved in it, it's very mandatory to mention that it was modified or created using AI.
Okay. Thank you, Rutuja. Nicely explained.
Thank you.
I think in 3D there are some tools that are going to reduce the rendering time in future, like especially in Blender and Cinema 4D. So there are a lot of tools actually like they're in existence. Like they are going to reduce the time for rendering. If you're creating the video which in low quality, it
Hmm.
will going to enhance the video quality. That is happening currently, like in 3D.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that that could prove to be very helpful for
yeah.
creating these visuals. So yeah, that's a debatable topic. I think it could be used very wisely at some levels, and it could lead to some blunders when it comes to certain tools or certain features. Okay, do we have any other questions or any other opinions on this?
Yes, if let's say I download an image from this website Firefly,
Hmm.
and I edit it with my own tool, I make a lot of, let's say I make 60% changes in the image.
Hmm. Hmm.
Then whenever I'm publishing, who is the person who will own the image? Is it Firefly or is it me?
Yes, so that will depend on the journal guidelines. Each journal will give us a set of guidelines. So if you're using so your image in this case would be an AI modified image. So you had an AI generated image and then you went ahead and modified it using certain tools, but it would still be a modified image of generated from an AI tool. So if the journal mentions that you need to be transparent about whether it is a modified image or whether it is generated from scratch using AI, accordingly you'll have to give credits.
But how will the journal itself know if the image is AI generated or the person drew it? Because anyone in the world can make an exact copy of the AI generated image, and it might have the imperfections of the human. So then, how
Yes.
can one claim that it was generated by this particular website or this particular tool?
Yeah. So I think that depends on the journals. There are certain AI tools that will help in detecting these systemic flaws that I mentioned earlier, that could distinguish AI generated images from the ones created by humans. So maybe the journals are going ahead with such tools to distinguish between the two, the AI generated ones and the real ones. So that may help them to detect the AI generated portions from your images. That could be a possibility.
Okay, so these rules were they created to protect the journal or to protect the AI tools?
So basically to protect the journals, right?
Okay,
So they know which
l-
part was AI generated or if AI was involved in this illustration.
understood.
Okay,
Yeah,
any
just on
more?
that last point, I mean, there is always this question of inspired by, right? You can take inspiration from something that you see and then you use that inspiration to make your own. And
Yes,
earlier also there was a point where maybe we can use it as a reference just to get some mind mapping done and then make our own. So I
yes,
think how much inspiration versus how much is it copying, that's always a fine line.
yes,
So in general, my thought process is we may want to kind of lean more in the direction of taking inspiration and less in the direction of trying to exactly replicate it.
yes.
From
Exactly.
a creative expression perspective is mostly what I'm saying, but maybe from a copyright perspective also, I think that may be important.
Yes, exactly.
Right, Rutuja, maybe in interest of time, we can move on. We have
Yes,
10
yeah.
minutes left until 12.
Yeah. So now as we have seen all the advantages and disadvantages of these AI tools, I would say that knowing some basic illustration skills can really save you. So you can create your own illustrations from scratch and avoid the copyright issues and everything that we saw until now with respect to the use of AI tools. So we are planning to have some workshops in the coming few months where we'll discuss about the first session. It will be discussing the fundamentals of design. So we'll be talking about some basic principles of design, which will further help you to create your own scientific illustrations from scratch. So we have another session for creating your own graphical abstract using Inkscape, which is a free illustration software. We have another session on scientific data visualization, where we use some free data visualization tools to create your own graphs and different types of plots. And we are also planning to introduce this new session on the basics of scientific animation, where you'll be learning some basic tools in animation, and you can use it to create your own animations from scratch using some free tools online. We are planning to have the upcoming workshop sometime in April, where we'll have dedicated sessions, hands-on as well as demo sessions, and we'll be giving you assignments on each of these sessions so you can go ahead and practice the tools and create your own illustrations from scratch. We'll also be giving a certificate along with that. So just a few examples to show what you can expect in the upcoming workshops. We'll be creating some dashboards like this using the free illustration, using the free visualization software called Tableau Public. And some basic animations like these. So here we come to the end of our webinar, and with this quote from Steve Jobs, details matter, and it's worth waiting to get it right. So now, as we have seen all the opportunities and all the challenges that comes with the use of AI, scientific details matter when it comes to communicating research information, and it's worth to wait and give it the right amount of time to make it scientifically accurate, which could be done with human intervention much better than AI, as we have seen till now. These are the references we used. Please go ahead and share your feedback for this webinar. So this will help us to schedule more such webinars in the future. I'll also be sharing the link for this feedback in our Teams group. And you can get in touch with me through my email or LinkedIn. This is my Instagram handle where I post scientific illustrations. Thank you, everyone, and thank you for joining us on a Saturday morning. It was my pleasure to interact with you all and know your opinions on artificial intelligence in the world of scientific illustration. Thank you.